Horror movies in the 80s were in a league of their own. Every single movie managed to make the genre its own through original tone, unique storylines, and memorable characters. One such film, which achieved cult classic status through its campy fun vibe, is the 1987 film The Lost Boys. Directed by Joel Schumacher, the film stars Corey Feldman, Haim, Jason Patric, Kiefer Sutherland, Dianne Wiest, and Barnard Hughes, among others. This was a gift to vampire flicks, and many analysts and film experts have credited this film with making vampires more appealing to younger generations. For whatever reason, a good sequel to the movie refused to materialize. There was news about a prequel in the works exploring how David, Kiefer Sutherland's character, became a vampire, and there were also some rumors about a direct sequel called The Lost Girls, with David coming back for revenge. It was implied that he survived the end of The Lost Boys as he didn't explode or dissolve like the other vampires, but none of these film ideas moved through the production phase, and fans had to console themselves with two low-budget sequels: Lost Boys: The Tribe, which released in 2008, and Lost Boys: The Thirst, which released in 2010. Neither managed to hold a candle to the first flick, and as luck would have it, there's a 2016 comic book sequel to the film that explores the Lost Girls idea. Released by Vertigo, the Lost Boys comic book miniseries, created by Tim Seeley and Scott Godlewski, tells the thrilling tale of the Blood Bells in 6 issues. This tale is truly worthy of being a sequel to The Lost Boys, and it's kind of fascinating, so that's why we're going to explore it today. It's going to be a good one, so let's dive on in. A reminder of the film. If it's been a while since you've seen it, let us remind you what happens in The Lost Boys. Teenager Michael Emerson, his mom Lucy, his younger brother Sam, and their dog Nanook moved to Santa Carla to live in their grandfather's house. On their very first day there, Lucy gets a job at the local video store, whose owner, Max, takes a romantic interest in her. Michael becomes infatuated with Star, a girl he met at the boardwalk, and while the two are talking, Star's friend and local gang leader David shows up with his friends, Paul, Marco, and Dwayne, and they invite Michael to their lair, a luxury hotel buried in an earthquake. While they're there, David asks Michael to drink from a bottle, but Star asks him not to as it contains blood. Michael doesn't believe her and drinks it anyways. The very next day, Michael begins to change. He becomes sensitive to light, he hates normal food, and his reflection in the mirror begins to disappear. With the help of his comics, Sam figures out that Michael is becoming a vampire and tells him he won't be a complete vampire until his first kill. Star confirms this and reveals that she and Laddie are half vampires too. The only way to become human again is if the head vampire is killed. Star reveals that David used her to trap him and apologizes. Sam teams up with his new friends, Alan and Edgar Frog, who call themselves vampire hunters despite having zero experience. They decide to test out Max when he's invited to their house for dinner by Lucy. Since he had no reaction to garlic or holy water, they decide to switch targets. Michael leads the three of them to David's lair, where the boys manage to kill Marco. That night, the Frog brothers, Sam, Michael, Star, and Laddie, prepare holy water and steaks as they know David will strike in retaliation soon. In the fierce fight that follows, Michael takes on David while the younger boys stake down the rest of David's gang. Michael impales David on his grandfather's antler collection, but he doesn't change back into a human. As they all wonder why, Lucy returns home from her date with Max. Max sees David's lifeless body and apologizes for not keeping his boys in line. He tells Lucy that all he wanted was a vampire family, which is why David targeted Michael and Sam. He threatens to kill Sam if Lucy doesn't let him turn her into a vampire. Having no other choice, Lucy agrees. Max is about to sink his fangs into her when their grandfather drives his car into the house and impales Max through a large wooden fence post. As he explodes, Grandpa grabs a root beer from the fridge and quips that the one thing he hates about Santa Carla was all the damn vampires. Life in Santa Carla. It's been a few days since the Emerson family slaughtered a whole group of vampires, and life seems to have reached a state of normalcy. This is where the comic picks up from. Sam has started working in the comic book store, which holds a self-published comic of how he and the Frog brothers killed vampires. While he's trying to sell the comic with no luck, a woman overhears him and asks him if he knows much about vampires. Sam brags that he does, and the woman requests a lost underground city of vampires, and while Sam's searching for that book, the woman leaves. Meanwhile, Michael is valued in his job at the Hughes retirement home. He gives out foot massages to Teresa and Agnes, the old women in the retirement home, who shower him with compliments. After finishing his shift, Laddie and Star pick him up. The Frog Brothers have started to train to be proper vampire hunters under Grandpa Emerson Emeritus. That's right, Grandpa finally gets a name. He's also a taskmaster, though, and an expert at vampire hunting. He defeats Edgar yet again in the fake vampire hunt, and Edgar storms out, saying that Emeritus knows nothing and he's just a crazy old man. Alan apologizes for his brother's words and explains that he's only acting out as vampire hunting was the only thing they had. But now, they've discovered they aren't even good at that. Emeritus then heads over to the top-secret meeting at the Santa Carla Hunters Union. Everyone in that meeting is either middle-aged or old, and since none of them saw anything suspicious enough to report, they move on to the applications. They only have one, which they receive every month, and they all unanimously vote no as he's too new age for them. Unbeknownst to them, however, somebody lurks in the shadows of the building. Meanwhile, Sam gets home from his job and makes plans to watch a movie with the Frog Brothers. Suddenly, the three hear the loud sirens of fire engines. They rush out and see the SCHU building on fire. The trio runs over, and Emeritus crawls out, weak and bleeding. Sam realizes from the distinctive holes on his grandfather's throat that it was the work of vampires. With his last breath, Emeritus tells his grandson that whoever attacked was new, fast, and clever, as they had set the building on fire to drive the vampire hunters out and then feasted on them. That night, a new group of vampires enter town, and with them is David, who quips similar to Grandpa that the one thing he hates about Santa Carla is all the damn vampire hunters. The Rejected Hunter. The assistant medical examiner shows the photos of Emeritus's corpse to Lucy to confirm his identity. Before Lucy says anything, she adds that the circular marks on the side of his neck are not vampire bites, as vampires aren't real, and they're simply used by gang members to drive superstitious fear. Lucy confirms the identity and breaks down. Sam and the Frog Brothers check the CCTV footage of the comic book store to check out the woman who had asked Sam about the lost city of vampires. Sam's suspicions are confirmed when she doesn't show up on screen. Alan consoles him while Edgar prepares his stakes and crosses. Sam admits to Alan that he's always been a scaredy cat who puts his fingers in his ears and hums until he falls asleep after watching The Monster from Planet X. He had tried to do the same with the vampire episode in his life, but now he knows that he would have been better off training with Alan and Edgar. Edgar declares himself and Alan the world's greatest vampire hunters since the SCHU is all gone. The two decide to check out David's old lair and don't take Sam with them for two reasons. One, he wasn't trained, and two, his family, who was grieving, needed him more. At the Emerson house, Michael confronts Lucy, but Star feels guilty that she's responsible for Grandpa Emerson's death. She rushes out without giving any explanation to Michael, who's left consoling Lucy and Sam. The Frog Brothers' excursion turns out to be worthwhile as they find tunnels in David's old lair. Upon closer inspection, they realize that those tunnels were dug by claws. A sudden quake pushes them both down the tunnel and they land in an underground river. As they look up, they see David sleeping next to female vampires. If that's not enough to cause dread, they hear a sudden splash and Edgar is pulled underwater. Alan reaches down and pulls what he thinks is Edgar's hair, but it turns out to be some other little boy. The boy suddenly bares his fangs and jumps at Alan. He's not the only little vampire there, as two more arrive and jump on Alan, who uses his walkie-talkie to send a last message to Sam when the walkie-talkie is pried out of his hands by David, who crushes it. Sam and Michael hear a bit of the message and are planning to go find them when the cops arrive with some of Grandpa's things from the SCHU. They also let the family know that the only document he had saved was a vampire hunter application, but they vetted the applicant and cleared him. The applicant was Nico Petropoulos, and he was the only vampire hunter who had escaped death by being rejected by the SCHU. He was a sax player who believed in physical and spiritual fitness and performed under the stage name The Believer. The Underground City. Sam and Michael reach David's lair and run through a list of vampire weaknesses: garlic, wooden stakes, sunshine, crosses, running water, and holy water. They realize that even though they're near the ocean, it won't help them because it doesn't technically count as running water. They try to get into the buried hotel, but construction workers stop them as they've been working there, renovating the sea caves to make them tourist-friendly. As the brothers leave, Edgar's conspiracy theory that ghouls and werewolves occupy high positions at City Hall echoes in Sam's mind. Lucy, Laddie, and Nanook leave Santa Carla, convinced by the brothers to stay away for a while. Just as they're about to pass the border, some cops pull them over and arrest Lucy as Laddie had been reported missing. The medical examiner calls someone and lets them know Lucy's been captured. While this is going on, Star wakes up in the underground caves. She's been grabbed by her old friend Billy, who was a part of the Blood Bells, an all-female coven of vampires that had taken Star under their wing. Star had infiltrated Max's group on Billy's orders, and Billy decides that since she was successful, it's time for her reward. She offers Star her vampire blood, but she refuses to drink it, telling Billy that she's not capable of eternal life. So Billy shows her the one thing that led them here: Xibalba, the lost city under the boardwalks of Santa Carla. Above them, Believer finishes a power-packed performance, and Sam and Michael follow him to ask for help. As they weave through the crowd to talk to him, a vampire stealthily creeps near Sam and Believer attacks her. He asks the two brothers to leave and takes down the vampire on his own. Another quake shakes the city, and Billy tells Star that the oldest of the vampires is closer to the Earth. She leads Star to a river where a whole lot of female vampires are asleep. Billy tells Star that their blood is so pure that it grants anyone who drinks it immortality, cures all diseases, reverses aging, and erases all pain and regret. The vampire is no match for Believer, who rubs his body every day with anointing oils. He easily stakes the vampire and walks off like the hero he is. The Emerson brothers, though, don't have that much luck, as David kidnaps Michael and takes him underground to Billy and Star. The waking of the vampire mothers requires 2 blood sacrifices at the Devil's Hour, one of a male vampire and one of a virgin human. Since Max's blood was still dominant in Michael, he was going to be one of the sacrifices, while the captured Frog brothers would suffice for the second. A useless fight! Michael is tied between 2 triangular structures, which holds both the Frog brothers. Andrea, a white-haired vampire, supports David, who looks worse for the wear. Star isn't happy to see that he's alive and demands to know why Billy didn't let him die. Billy admits to having let him live, as she needed his help to track down vampire hunters. David didn't have the power to heal himself anymore, as his sire was dead, so they injected him with the blood of the mothers. The 2 huge holes in his chest, caused by the antlers Michael had impaled him on, begin to heal, and David gets his strength back. Sam meets up with the Believer, who's frankly a bit too full of himself. He thinks he's God's greatest chosen warrior, full of love and beauty, and asks Sam to go home as he's gonna handle the vampires. Sam has no intention of sitting this one out, though, as he has spent his entire life being scared and won't continue doing it. He wants to face the vampires and take them down. He impresses Believer with his knowledge of vampires, and Believer lets him ride along with him. They get to the underground hotel and sneak in after knocking out the watchman. Despite being tied up, the Frog brothers aren't the least bit afraid and antagonize David by calling him all kinds of names, from Annie Lennox lookalike to blood-sucking Benedict. Sam and Believer enter the caverns and encounter the half-vampiric children. They hiss and giggle and attack the 2. Sam knows he should stake them, but can't bring himself to. Believer agrees with him, as he thinks destroying tainted innocence would only please the devil. He empties his oil bottle into the river and jumps in. Sam follows while the children look on, scared to touch the now holy water. Meanwhile, David, without a sire, won't be a full vampire until he kills someone. He turns his attention to the Frog brothers and asks Billy if he can have one of them, as they need only one for the sacrifice. Billy wants Star to have the same gift she gave David. Michael begs her to reconsider, as he had saved her once and he can save her once more. Star coughs and sees blood on her palm. David is unbothered by the drama and chooses to kill Edgar. Before he can sink his fangs into him, Believer enters, swinging his sacks. He knocks David down while Sam attacks Andrea. He spits out the holy water he had filled his mouth with and melts Andrea's face. David recognizes Believer and tells him that he saw the SCHU laugh at him every month. Billy recognizes Sam and regrets not killing him when she killed his grandfather. Before she can attack him, Star pushes her towards the nearby waterfall, and the running water causes her to writhe in pain. As David and Believer fight, he continues to taunt him. He belittles Believer's faith and asks if God is truly powerful when he lets his people age, doesn't let them make love before marriage, lets his people get sick, and of course, die. David thinks he's a god, as he never ages, kills whoever he wants to, and sleeps with whoever he wants to. He holds Believer and flies up. Believer grabs his cross, which doubles as a pocket blade, and stabs David's eye. He then holds David down, as they both get impaled on the conical structure Alan is tied to. Sam and Edgar hope their departed brother Hunter finds peace in the afterlife. As Alan is freed, only he recognizes the tragedy of their situation. David and Believer's blood has mixed together and flowed into the river. Believer had inadvertently completed the sacrifice required to wake up the mothers, as he was a virgin and David was a vampire. The earth below them begins to shake as the mother vampires rise up from their long slumber. Enemies in high places. David laughs out loud as the mothers rise, as he knows they'll slaughter each and every one of the humans there. The tremors of the earth break the conical structures and pull David deeper into the earth's bowels. A newly risen mother vampire attacks Edgar, but Michael is quick to jump to his rescue. He pulls out Believer's sax and hits her with it over and over again until she stops breathing. The blood of the mothers is so pure that Michael slowly begins to transform. Thankfully, Star is there to snap him out of it, and all 5 of them rush through the tunnel Sam came in. Michael breaks the makeshift bridge created inside to make sure none of the vampires follow him. The Mother Queen greets her fellow vampires when Billy crawls up to her. She can't help but praise her beauty as she kneels before the Queen and introduces herself as her daughter. The Queen smells her blood within her and helps her get up. She embraces her and lets her know that they, the Tlalhupuchi, did not care about men other than the fact that they were sources of blood. The men had pushed them to the edge of the world, and they were forced to create children to fight for them as they had to rebuild their power. Now that she was awake, the Queen realized that her children had failed as the smell of the humans was stronger than ever. As punishment, the Queen bites onto Billy to take back her gift. Billy's screams echo across the caves, and Star hears it, but she has no time to mourn. The group reaches the half-vampire children again, who this time don't attack, but kidnap Sam and take him to Andrea. Andrea leaps at Sam to take a bite out of him, but Sam uses the opportunity to stake her. The Frog Brothers are impressed by his fighting technique. As Andrea dies, the children all turn back to normal and wonder how they got there. The group leads the children out, and the vampires are unable to follow them as they are only minutes before sunrise. Turns out, the mother vampires were never fated to leave the underground, as another earthquake causes the underground caves to collapse. The only vampire to make it out is Billy. She wistfully looks at the horizon, having forgotten what morning looks like. Edgar picks up a rock to fling at her, but Star stops him, as the sun would kill her any moment anyways. As the sun rises, Billy shares her tragic story. She was born Wilhelmina Guido to a slave and a master. She had been freed through paternal manumission, but had been the subject of a lot of scorn and suspicion. She had become the perfect target for Jezediah Rose, a corrupt witch hunter who branded her when her father was away and claimed that the mark had been from the devil. That was enough for the village people to consider her a witch, so they tied her to the stake and set her aflame. Just before she turned to ashes, a woman had rescued her and had given her the gift of vampirism. Billy hands the blood of the mothers to Star and asks her to give it to her maker, Agnes Underwood, at the Hughes retirement home. If she doesn't, Billy warns her that she'll surely kill Lucy Emerson. With that, the sun rises and Billy is engulfed in flames. She had been right about that, as Agnes was the only one who had asked the cops to arrest Lucy and was now holding her hostage along with Nanook and Laddie. Sweet old Agnes. While the rest of the group heads to meet Agnes, Alan drives all the kids home one by one. He could have called the cops, but he no longer trusts them, as Edgar has claimed vampires have infiltrated places of authority. At the Hughes retirement house, Agnes has cured many of the inhabitants of their mortality. Sam and Star arrive, armed with stakes. Star shows Agnes the blood of the Tlalhupuki Queen, and Agnes's face lights up. Star threatens to drop the glass syringe holding the blood unless she releases Laddie and Lucy immediately. Agnes grabs her arm to prevent her from dropping it and asks her to imagine being immortal in her 80s, where she has to deal with rotting teeth, bent bones, and bunions for all her eternal life. Sensing danger, Sam places a cross on her hand and she darts away. Agnes is disappointed that the blood bells have all passed, but she's not grieving, as she can always make more vampires. She asks her newly sired vampires to release the captives. Edgar and Michael find Luis, one of the employees at the retirement home, hiding in a janitor's closet. Luis has covered himself with Bengay to save himself. He explains that Agnes and 3 of the residents had begun attacking everyone, and the choice was simple, either death or deathlessness. In the janitor's closet, Edgar finds silver nitrate. Michael isn't sure how that will help, but Edgar tells him that silver is a pure metal and it either burns or paralyzes vampires. Sam and Star embrace Lucy and Laddie, but their reunion is short-lived. Agnes grabs hold of Sam and demands a test to make sure the blood she's about to give her is pure. She doesn't trust Star and suspects her of adding holy water to the syringe. She orders Star to inject herself with it first, since she still has vampire blood in her. If it is holy water, she will die, but if it's not, she'll turn into a vampire. Agnes believes the test is fair, as she knows Star has been suffering from a fatal case of cystic fibrosis that will kill her sooner or later. Star presses the needle to her neck when suddenly a drop of water falls on Agnes's cheek. She lets out a scream of pain, and Sam understands that Michael and Edgar came through. Suddenly, the sprinkler system is turned on, and the water, obviously mixed with silver nitrate, sprays down on the vampires. Using the water as a distraction, Edgar attacks and starts staking them. Agnes crawls towards the air vent, hoping to escape, but Nanook pulls her back and Lucy stakes her. Alan, having gotten over his distrust of the cops, brings them to the retirement home and tells them that Luis is the witness. He asks them to let the Emerson family go as they just saved the city. The family returns home and holds a funeral for Grandpa Emerson. Sam, Edgar, and Alan decide to restart the Santa Carla Hunters Union with Sam as the first recruit. As the sun sets, Michael and Star embrace. Michael asks her how much time she has left. Star doesn't know and doesn't really care. Michael reminds her that there's one way to avoid death, but she throws the syringe into the ocean as she wants to live the rest of her life as a human being and not an undead creature. The two kiss as the syringe sinks deeper and deeper into the ocean. We watch it gently land on the ocean floor, where David, who's alive but pinned underneath some rocks, grabs the syringe and cackles with glee. And there you have it. That was the awesome sequel to The Lost Boys. We absolutely loved all the quips, and the dialogue is written very characteristically. The story is pretty tight too, and it keeps us turning the pages. The art, however, we had some issues with. Almost every character looks the same, and we had to depend on the hairstyles and clothing to tell them apart. We also didn't love how the Frog Brothers think Sam is a coward when they were the ones holding each other and screaming in the first film. Even Sam thinks Sam is a coward, which makes zero sense, as he took down one of the vampires from the original film. We hardly get to see Michael either, and he was one of our favorite characters, so that's a little bit disappointing. The saving grace of this miniseries, though, is the long ponytailed, oiled-up sax man, Believer. Believer was a pretty great addition to this weird collection of characters, and his death felt a bit sudden, but we loved him anyways. It's just too bad we never got a follow-up comic or another sequel related to this one, but we can make our peace with that. Overall, it's still worth reading for the clever dialogue and the impressive world building. But that's just our thoughts. We'd love to hear yours. Let us know in the comments down below if you like this series or if you're excited to read it. Also, if you enjoyed this video, you know the drill. Tap that thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed, and ring that bell to always stay updated with our awesome videos. We'll be back soon with more mind-blowing explorations for you, but until next time, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and we'll see ya in the next one.